Hi, you guys. This is Courtney from Willow's Bloom, and today we're going to be talking about the new moon in Cancer that's happening on July 9th at 18 degrees of Cancer. So, really quick before I jump into the chart, the overall explanation, I did want to mention that I have a new membership called the North Node Society, and I basically have a whole astrology course that is worth hundreds of dollars just sitting there for you, easy access, just $20 a month. And it's so much more than just an astrology course. Not only can you dive into your chart and learn about where this moon is going to affect you personally and how that might look in your life, but you'll also have live group classes with people where I go over other topics around astrology. We also have a therapist. I say that in quotes because she's not a therapist, but there's some kind of like counseling service that we do. Again, I don't want to say counseling because I'm not like legally allowed to have therapy or counseling. It's something along those lines. It's kind of like coaching, like spiritual coaching, let's say. So we have a spiritual coach come on each month. We have breathwork classes, yoga. There's so many different things that are offered in this membership, and I really hope that you'd be interested in joining. So if so, there's a link below, and I'll see you guys there. Okay, so we're gonna go over the new moon for all of the zodiac signs, but first we're gonna start off with the overview. So, like I said, this moon is happening at 18 degrees of Cancer, which means that if you have a planet at around plus or minus 5 degrees, 18 degrees of Cancer, then you are going to be strongly affected by this. So, this is what I see time and time again with my friends. For the people that don't have this aspecting any of their personal planets, sometimes these moons come and go and they're just felt a little bit energetically, but nothing in their life happens. Other times, when it hits a personal planet by some kind of aspect, square, opposition, sextile, trine, or conjunction, you are going to have something in your life alter, change, manifest, or dissolve away. And new moons are specifically about building something up. So if this is hitting your personal chart, which again, you can find out by joining the membership and taking the course. But yeah, if this is hitting your chart, you'll notice that some new beginnings are being planted, some new seeds are being planted at this time. And it's going to be another 6 months for the next full moon in Cancer when you start to see some ripe fruit coming as a result of the actions and things that are happening in your life right now. If you've watched my videos before, then you know I love to use tarot and oracle cards along with the astrology messages because I just feel like they're so intertwined. So I'm definitely going to be using those today to kind of describe this moon. So, what is a new moon in Cancer about? Well, what I think is it's a lot about new emotional beginnings. Cancer is about us allowing ourselves to feel, allowing ourselves to nurture and mother ourselves, especially because this new moon is making a square to Chiron, which is an asteroid in the sky that has a lot to do with our healing process. And a square is a harsh angle that's indicating that this healing is coming off the back of a challenging situation. And because leading up to this point in time, Venus was opposing Pluto, a lot of those challenging situations are likely regarding our finances, our self worth, or our relationships, our intimate partnerships with people. And so, this healing that's happening is really going to be around some of those issues. And it's probably going to feel like a band aid is being ripped off so that the skin underneath can finally get a fresh breath of air. And so that's kind of what I see this new moon as being. I don't think it's going to be the most comfortable new moon, but there are good solutions happening. And what I mean by that is that this new moon is also making a positive angle to Uranus. It's making a sextile to Uranus. Uranus is a planet of finding solutions. It is kind of like our way of thinking outside of the box, of rebelling to create something that doesn't exist that is going to solve our problems, to create change, to disrupt the status quo of what's been happening so we can finally feel some sense of relief or release or freedom. And so that's really what this new moon is about. How are we going to fully express how we feel? By finding some way to create a sense of change in our life to feel more free, to feel like can finally be ourselves. So if you've had some relationships or relationship dynamics that have been repetitive or toxic and kind of keeping you stuck in old cycles, the sextile to Uranus at this moon is asking you to make some changes to those relationships to finally feel like you have some breathing room so you can finally express your authentic self with somebody who can actually sit and listen and take it in and who is a valid person to have a relationship with. I'm going to get more into that for each of the individual signs, but this sextile to Uranus feels very positive. So while there is kind of a lot going on in the sky in general in terms of relationships, money, and self-confidence, this Uranus energy asking us to shake things up, make different decisions, completely disrupt something in our life that's been heading on a path that needs to alter. That is the answer. That is the medicine and the remedy within the astrology right now. This new moon is also making a trine to Neptune. So this trine to Neptune is going to make this healing process a little bit easier. It's going to give us basically more universal and spiritual support throughout this process. So if you're looking for divine timing or divine signals or the universe kind of speaking back to you, this is a moon where you're going to feel like you're finally getting some kind of response from the universe if that's something that you normally tuned into. It's also a really great time to express yourself through art and creativity and anything where you feel like you can process emotion in a really cathartic way. So Neptune is that perfect energy, not only for spiritual expression, but artistic expression. So kind of leaning into those areas are going to help uplift you at this time. There's a really wide orb happening with Pluto and a Pluto opposition. So it's a 7-degree orb. We're probably not going to be feeling it that much, but since the Venus opposition to Pluto happened somewhat recently, I did want to bring this in and say that I do see some residual intensity from recent experiences regarding relationships, regarding money, or regarding self-worth, kind of filtering into this current experience. So I do feel like some of the kind of like childhood shadows that come up around those areas of our life can still be at the forefront. While I don't see them being like necessarily new situations or new realizations, I feel like it's more of the residual of what was just happening. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's pretty much what's going on for the moon itself. Now I'm going to talk about what's happening in the rest of the sky as far as astrology, and then I'll get into some cards that I pulled for this. So we are also experiencing Mercury in Gemini making a trine to Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. So Mercury in Gemini is in its home sign. It loves to be there. Jupiter in Pisces loves to be there. They're both really strong in their element. The only thing wrong here is that Jupiter is retrograde. So a lot of this growth and advancement that we're currently working on with Jupiter is going to be very internal. Those abundance and the blessings that we normally see when Jupiter is direct are going to be kind of on hold until Jupiter does go direct again. Not that you won't receive any abundance or blessings, but that they're kind of trickling out now and not full on pouring out, because a lot of what's happening right now is internal manifestations, internal changes, internal growth. And so that's what Jupiter retrograde does. So I feel like Mercury making a trine to Jupiter is us being more optimistic. It's us feeling like, okay, I can see long term now. I can see how much I've evolved. I can look back in the past and give myself credit for how I've changed, how I've healed, how I've grown. But then we have Mercury also making a square to Neptune. So it's like, even though we can kind of see into the future and we feel more optimistic about it and we can see how far we've come, we also have this element of ourselves where there's still a lack of clarity. We're still not exactly sure where we're going. It's like we have a general idea, we're feeling excited, but when we try to like get down to the details of what is my life right now? Who am I going to be with? What is my relationship with myself going to be? How is my money going to evolve? It's like those things are not fully within our grasp. So even though we can have that excitement and that long-term vision, that long-term vision is unclear, or we don't feel like it's tangible. We don't have all of the information yet. We haven't fully come out of this hazy chapter. Like, we haven't fully integrated these lessons. We're still in this process of absorbing it and trying to understand it. So things might not feel like they're totally clear. So if you have this kind of weird relationship with someone, and you're trying to end it, or you're not sure where you guys stand, like that's the kind of energy. Like, okay, there's some relief. Like, you guys maybe made a decision. If this is about a relationship, maybe you made a decision to end or change the relationship or not pursue something or whatever. You had a conversation. But then with the Neptune influence, it's like, it's not really done yet. It's like, it's not solidified. It's not super clear where you stand with this person, but you have a general idea of where you guys are going and you feel like it's better than where it was before. But maybe it's like you're not healed yet, or there's some aspect of that still needs to be fully seen later on. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some of the big stuff that's happening is that we're going to have Mars and Venus aligning in the sky and making a conjunction. So Mars and Venus are very different energies. Venus is the planet of harmony and unity, and Mars is the planet of separation and of war. And so when we bring these two things in combination, it can be honestly this very intensified sexual experience. So we might have a lot more desire nature at this time. We might desire to be in relationship with people. We might want to have more sex with people. We might want to be around people in this really like strong, intense way than we normally do. Kind of like an almost animalistic drive to pursue relationships, or a drive to pursue financial abundance within ourselves, or financial abundance in general, or peace within ourselves. If we're working on a relationship with ourselves, it's like we have this fiery masculine flame kind of driving this desire for the feminine here, the uniting and the harmony. What this can also do is kind of lead to maybe some more struggles in relationships and fights and things like this, especially because Venus and Mars is opposing Saturn in the sky. So it's not like we have this desire and we're given free reign to go out and pursue what we want. At the end of the day, Saturn is there kind of blocking us and saying, okay, well, if you want to make progress with this, you first have to revisit all of this from the past. You have to address these weird habits that you have that you've been stuck in, or you have to overcome this problem first before you can have the green light to go ahead and like be with who you want or do what you want. It's like, it's hard. There's obstacles, there's delays, there's a sense of so much effort needing to be made, and it feels frustrated because our energy is being blocked. Like Mars is our energy, so we have this energy behind us to unite, to be with people, to have sex, to work on our money relationship, our relationship with ourselves. But it's like every time we try to take a step forward, there's like this roadblock that just doesn't allow us to keep on that path. So that can be a little bit frustrating at this time. But the good news is that Venus and Mars is making a square to Uranus. Again, squares are not the most positive, but just the fact that it's touching Uranus here is a good sign, especially because this moon is making a sextile to Uranus. What this means to me is that the solution to these things is creating some sense of freedom or change or disruption to your current cycle. And it's going to feel probably like a loss. It's probably going to feel negative. It's probably going to feel like something is either being taken from you or it's harder to process than it normally is because it's a square. So anytime there's a square to Uranus, it's like, it's not change that you're necessarily sitting down and really wanting to make that change. Maybe deep inside, you know that's the change that's best for you, but it's like on the outside, you also feel like you want to be with someone and maybe you don't want to have a breakup, or you want to spend that money and you don't want to sit there and budget all day. Like there's some aspect there that kind of feels like you're dragging your feet with this a little bit. But that square, if you do put that effort in to make those changes, to disrupt the status quo of where things have been going, that train that's headed down the track, if you disrupt that, it's going to truly manifest in a positive way for you and have a ripple effect onto the rest of your year. Venus and Mars is also making a trine to Chiron, so I do feel like it's through this change, through these decisions, and through facing these relationships with people or facing your relationship with yourself or with money, it's through that experience that you're going to have that deeper healing, that you're going to let go of some of those past patterns that you've been repeating since childhood. So that's really what came up with Venus opposed Pluto, was childhood patterns started to come up in relationships. We started to default to wanting to close down, to not open up. And now it's saying this is our chance to heal that by kind of creating a rift, by exploding what once was, by taking a detour, by creating this massive change. We can start to rewire and rewrite history so that it doesn't just repeat itself on this in this cyclical way. So it's true healing is allowed to happen when we're doing this. And lastly, we have Saturn making a square to Uranus. This has been ongoing throughout the entire year. It's going to keep on going. So I don't really want to talk too much about it, but it's basically saying that we're just making massive, massive changes in our lives, and they might feel like they're coming a little bit slower than we'd like and a little bit more frustrating than we would like because Saturn is involved. But just know that you're steadily making progress, and this year is really where we're starting to lay down those big changes in our lives and into our internal selves. And then next year, I think we're going to start to see more results from them. So I wanted to show some cards that I pulled. So First, I pulled this card, the ever unfolding rose, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. This is really important. I feel like a lot of times it can feel like these negative relationship situations or money situations or self-worth situations are happening to us. We feel like we are victim to some of these people. I mean, if it's a lot of it is imbalances in relationships, honestly. That was occurring in the weeks prior to this, that we can feel frustrated about, like, why am I always giving, or why am I not receiving? It doesn't have to just be relationships, but just any area of your life where you feel like, God, I'm giving so much and I'm just not getting back what I think I should be getting back. And I feel like what this is saying is this is a very prime situation to help illustrate what you deserve, and to stop falling into patterns or falling into relationships with people that don't give back what you put in. It's not happening to you, it's literally happening for you. You're encountering these challenging situations and people to help you realize your worth, so that from now on, you can really stand up for yourself, hold those boundaries, take your power back, and start to attract the things that only match your level of giving and your vibration. I also pulled a potential card, so I feel like this is kind of going on the back of that, saying that all of this is happening to build you up to your highest potential. If you didn't have these more challenging relationships and circumstances and everything was just easy going, it's like there's not enough friction to help you grow, which is Jupiter retrograde. Grow inside, grow within yourself to reach a deeper and higher potential. So this is kind of forming us into the people that we're meant to be. I also pulled these two cards together, which is the wisdom and focus card. And I really feel like this is us being called to really address where our energy is going with this focus card. You know, what are you focusing your time, thoughts, and energy on? Because the last moon that we had was a Capricorn full moon, which was asking us to grow something, which was asking us to put effort into something. And so I think that is continuing on here with this focus card. Don't give up. Keep up that endurance towards building whatever you're trying to go for, whether that's a business, a relationship, a move, whatever it is you're trying to bring into your life to create change. Keep your focus on the prize and not on what's being lost, but what's being gained by creating more freedom in your life, by releasing things that aren't in alignment with you. And the wisdom card, I feel like, is just telling you to view this perspective to view all this from a higher perspective. Really try to put on your thinking caps and have the perspective of your future self or a really wise elder. They're not going to get so caught up in the details of the emotional experience that's happening right now. They're not going to get stuck in the stories. They're going to think about where this is taking them, why this is necessary, why this happened. Really allowing yourself to reflect in a wise and self-compassionate way is going to be important. And I feel like this Five of Pentacles is really illustrating kind of what we're experiencing emotionally at this time. These people are left out in the cold. They feel like they're not getting their needs met. They aren't being satisfied in their relationships or in some area of their life. And they're just feeling a little bit emotionally frustrated. And I feel like that's how a lot of us are feeling right now with different areas of our life. We're feeling like this sense of disappointment or, like not being fully fulfilled. Like we can start to get some breadcrumbs and some things coming into our life, but the breadcrumbs aren't enough for these people. They feel like they're still frustrated with the situation that they're in. And I feel like that is where we kind of are, especially in relationships right now. And to me, the next card, the Hanged One, is really this Uranus energy about creating a massive shift. This can either be in our life or in our perspective. So there needs to be some kind of shift to who we are or to what we think or to what we do. We need to turn our life upside down and shake out all of the loose change from our pockets, because it's just dead weight that is not helping us. So for all of us, there's some elements of our life that's that loose change that's constantly like jingling in our pockets, reminding us that we need to do something about it, but we just don't want to take it out. We just don't want to get rid of it because it is money at the end of the day. But it's just weighing you down. It's unnecessary. So even if this relationship, this job, or this thing that you're enjoying feels good, or you want to hold on to it because you see some value in it, just know that it's chump change, and the universe is trying to shake that out of your pockets to give you, hundreds and hundreds of dollars and not just quarters. But you have to first make room in your life and in your pockets to receive that money to be able to do that. And that's why I feel like I pulled this Four of Pentacles card. This is us not wanting to release that change. Literally the change, I meant like with the money in your pockets, but literally like releasing something. Like all of us are trying to hold on to something that we no longer need to hold on to. If it's a relationship with someone, a hookup, a connection, something in regards to finances. I mean, that's the very obvious one with Four of Pentacles. It's desiring to hold on to those finances so that you feel the sense of security when there is no sense of security. You create your sense of security. So holding on to this thing is only deterring the blessings that want to come in for you. And this new moon in Cancer is about releasing things, allowing yourself to create space and liberation in your life to bring in new things, and allowing yourself to feel and grieve what's happening. Because whenever you release something, there's some aspect of grief that also accompanies that. So if you're trying to hold on to it so you don't feel the grief, you're really just delaying your blessings, delaying the healing process, and you're not helping yourself. So let go of whatever that thing is. Allow yourself to move on, and then move into the phase 2 of your life, which is about planning ahead. And this is what I feel like Mercury making that trine to Jupiter is saying is it's a great time to plan ahead. It's a great time to look into the future. It's okay if you don't have full clarity with that square to Neptune. You don't need full clarity to get started. You don't need full clarity to start journaling, to get an idea of what you want. So if you did lose a relationship, if you did let that go, now get really clear on what you want to come in its place. Who does that person need to be to satisfy you? How do you need to be in the relationship to be fulfilled? Get super clear in that planning process to understand what it takes. And then the very last card we have is the Strength card, which I feel like is really just telling us that the sun will shine again, but in the meantime, it's going to take our inner resilience and our strength to endure this next couple of weeks, to move through these challenging situations, to try to endure this Five of Pentacles feeling, but just know that when we come out on the other side, things are going to be much better. So I think the Strength card is really about that, like seeing the light at the end of tunnel, knowing that things are going to improve, and just giving yourself the opportunity to believe that things will improve. So that is what I'm seeing for this new moon in Cancer. And now I'm going to go into all of the zodiac signs. If you are enjoying this so far, please like and subscribe. And if you comment down below, I just want to say thank you so much, because those comments, they mean the world to me, you guys. I read every single one and they touch my heart so deeply. And I just wanted to say thank you in advance if you are commenting. All right, up next we have Taurus Rising. So for you guys, Taurus Rising, this new moon in Cancer at 18 degrees is happening in your third house of mindset, communication, neighborhood, siblings, early childhood education, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm going to get into kind of what that might look like for you. And I love to use some tarot to go along with it. Interesting. So the first two cards that I pulled were the Nine of Cups and the Eight of Cups, which is showing some kind of downgrade. Normally we like to see them build up from the Eight of Cups, the Nine of Cups, the Ten of Cups. So you see this kind of progression in your development. But I'm seeing here some kind of like backtracking. And I wonder what that will look like for you. The Moon. Let me pull one more tarot card. And then we'll get into more about the astrology. I'm curious, do you guys have a preference for like astrology or tarot, or do you just like the combination of the two? I would love to know. So if you guys can comment in the description box below if you just prefer having one. Not that I'm going to make the change, because to me this is how I best understand it, but I just want to know what you guys think. Eight of Swords. Okay, yeah, you guys are going through something mentally. That's definitely what I'm seeing here. For sure. That's exactly what I thought. So yeah, I mean, you guys are literally having a new moon in Cancer, which is honestly emotional for everyone. Especially if it were a full moon, it'd be extra emotional. But because it's in your third house, I feel like you guys are all up in your head right now. Like, yeah, that's really what I feel like is happening for Taurus Risings. You guys are, maybe you kind of feel like you're going backwards and you're getting in your head. Maybe you feel like you're either stagnating or going backwards, like something isn't progressing how you wanted it to progress. And now you're starting with the self-doubt, the shadows coming up, the overthinking, feeling like you're not where you want to be, and getting kind of anxiety about that. Let me see what else we got here. This new moon is also making a trine to Neptune in the 11th house. I keep getting this for all of the groups. And it's like I already said it for the main one. The ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. Again, just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to pull another one for you guys, but just keep it in mind that this is happening for you. This is not, you're not a victim here. You're being shaped by this situation, by this environment. The new moon making a trine to Neptune in the 11th feels positive in terms of your friendship support. So like whatever you're going through mentally right now, really lean on your friends. I feel like they're going to be a source of great compassion for you. You're going to feel like you can feel some kind of relief in that area of your life. Like I do feel like your friends are going to be helpful. Although Mercury is making a square to Neptune in the 11th. So you might feel like even if you are getting some emotional relief from your friends, it still might feel like they're maybe not fully understanding your situation. Like there's some element here of, even though your friends are that source of stability for you and relief, it can also be a source of like confusion or lack of clarity, or like they don't fully see and understand what's going on for you. Even if that's just them not being in your shoes and not knowing what this is like for you, whatever you're going through. Soul family, call on your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. That's exactly what I was just saying. I was saying you guys are supposed to lean on your friends at this time. I feel like you guys are meant to lean on them more emotionally than intellectually. That's something that I was getting for even the last group, was like, whatever is happening right now, whatever changes are happening right now are internal. They feel like they're very insular. They feel like they're meant to be done by you alone. And so the feeling that I'm getting from this with this square to Neptune 11th is that your friends want to be there to emotionally support you, and they are, but they are definitely not fully intellectually in your shoes. They don't have the same mindset. They don't have the same experience. And so whatever you're going through, it's like they're not going to fully be able to understand or to give you the best advice. So in terms of like taking action, taking advice, making changes based off of what your friends say, that's going to be a nah. Just really rely on them for that emotional support. Cry to them, express things to them, but don't ask for help in the sense of like a solution. I feel like you are the solution. Changes are going to be made within you, and that's because this new moon is making a sextile to Uranus in your first house. So this is actually a really big moon for you guys just because of that sextile. There is going to be some new emotional beginning that creates a change within you. This change could be very sudden, or it could be like this one sudden thing that kind of occurs that then has like a very long drawn out influence. So it could be, for example, like, okay, you meet someone, and then like from that, like there's a huge influence that kind of draws out through your entire life. So that's not the scenario that I would say it is, but there is some element here of like you changing because of, I feel like it's because you're just like reaching this breaking point, honestly. Like you downgrade from the 9 of Cups to the 8 of Cups. To me, and you end with the 8 of Swords. Like to me, this is some kind of like mental breakdown a little bit. You might not experience it that intensely. It depends on if it's hitting a personal planet. I keep saying this because some people expect every moon to feel very intense. It's not going to. It depends on where it hits your chart. If it hits a personal planet, hell yeah, it's going to be intense. So some of the things I say will come true if it hits a personal planet for you. But if it doesn't, it could feel less intense and not as big of a deal. Okay, so what I'm seeing with this 9 of Cups is you were in a good place. You were feeling good. I feel like Tauruses were doing pretty good with their career. They're feeling that they're kind of getting some mojo on, even though Saturn's in the 10th and things might be a little slow in the career. I feel like it was good. It was like slow building. And then the 8 of Cups comes, where I feel like something kind of knocks you off kilter. And there's some kind of change that could either happen to you, or because of whatever happened, there needs to be a change in you, either way. But this change is kind of making you reevaluate, reassess. Okay, where am I going? What do I want? Is this the right path for me? It's kind of questioning some things. And this can be about any area of your life, because Uranus is in your first house. And the first house is literally you in astrology. So it can affect any area. It could be your physical body. It could be your emotional nature. It could be your relationships, your career. some aspect here where you're going to question some areas of your life, if not many areas of your life. And I feel like it's going to kind of send you into a little bit of a spiral. And I don't mean that in a negative way, even though it sounds very negative. But the moon and the Eight of Swords are us questioning ourselves, us feeling like we're in our shadow and having a lot of self-doubt, having a lot of anxiety. And when we have so much open up to us, when we start to question, especially multiple areas of our lives at once, that's exactly what starts happening. Because what we desire as humans, especially as a Taurus, is stability. And if we don't know what's coming, and we don't know if we're making the right decisions, and we don't know about what changes are coming up, it can feel very scary. You guys are the ones experiencing the most change this year when Uranus is activated with Saturn and with this moon. And because of all that change, it can feel really destabilizing for the sign in the zodiac that wants the most stability of everyone. And so there can be this feeling of being emotionally off kilter. And that's why it's going to be so important to really rely on your friends. And I feel like this communion card, normally it means communion with spirit. And I also think that's important. But I do feel like this communion aspect is you communing with friends rather than just spirit. And really relying on other people to let things out emotionally. You guys are also having Mercury in Gemini in the second house. And it's making a trine to Jupiter in Pisces retrograde in your 11th house. So generally, Mercury making a trine to Jupiter is super positive to me. This is us being able to see into the future, plan things for our finances and our possessions, trying to get clear on where that's going, and maybe any, kind of like with the second house, I feel like it's a lot about getting your ducks in a row when it comes to your finances, possessions, or even skills and things like that. And so I feel like you are feeling good, like your friends are supporting that. You kind of have an idea of what you want, like you're feeling more optimistic. But then there's also a square between Mercury and Neptune 11th. So it's like even though you're kind of feeling that optimism there in regards to your finances specifically, or your friendships, or your self-confidence in your friendships. So even though you're starting to kind of feel like a little bit more optimistic about that, this square to Neptune in the 11th is saying like, okay, well, I don't actually have full clarity. Like I kind of know what I want. I'm feeling good about this new idea about my finances or about my friends or whatever. But I still don't have like a full idea of how this is going to be executed or how this will work out. And so it's like really tapping into yourself to trust your inner guidance system, knowing how you feel about things to guide you. Okay, you guys also have Venus conjunct Mars and Leo in the 4th house. So you guys might feel like quite frustrated at this time when it comes to like matters around either career or your home and family situation. I do feel like maybe you're wanting to make moves in terms of building something up in your life, and you're being blocked because Venus and Mars are opposing Saturn in the 10th. So it's almost like you want to build something in your home, like maybe you're building a family, or you want to have kids, or you want to move, or you want to do construction, or you want to even start to work on yourself emotionally and like do some like damage control or just therapy or whatever. But it's like, even though you really want to do those things, Saturn is saying, but you have so much at work to do. You have so much business stuff to tend to. You don't have time for that. Or here are all these delays and hardships being put on you by influences that are really outside of your control. So if you're trying to do construction in your home and you've a Saturn opposing Venus and Mars in your 4th house, it's like, okay, well, the construction is delayed because of the company that is working there. Or just some kind of scenario like that where you feel like you're trying to make progress and then Saturn is like, nah. So the progress that you're trying to make is like around home and family or emotions or even finances. And then responsibilities from your career influence you, or things outside of your control are coming in to influence you. And kind of put in like blocks and delays. So, but Venus and Mars is also making a square to Uranus in the 1st house. So I feel like as you start to make changes to yourself as a person, you're going to notice that maybe some of these things in your home and family kind of start resolving themselves. Or maybe those issues in your home and family are going to then trigger you to make changes within yourself. So it's like it can go either way, where regardless, you are ultimately going to change aspects of yourself, either because of the homing family or because you want to see changes in that area of your life. And I feel like that's why I pulled this revelation card, which is saying that you're having some kind of realization about yourself, about what needs to be altered. And I feel like there has to be something that needs to be altered, because this regressing or this stagnation that you might feel right here with this Eight of Cups, where you're kind of reassessing things in your life, that is coming right now because there needs to be a change to yourself or your life path. So just kind of keep that in mind, that you can't just continue on. There has to be a change right now, especially if it's hitting a personal planet. So that's what I see for you guys, Taurus Rising. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning about astrology, how to track this in your personal chart, and just all the things, how to read your chart, everything fun, then I highly suggest checking out the North Node Society, which is my brand new membership. There's a whole astrology course in there for just $20, and you can sign up using the link below. I hope you have a great day. Bye.